Did you know over 500,000 people quietly left the UK in just 1 year? And that number is growing fast. What do they know that you don't? The truth is, something serious is happening in Britain, but no one's warning you. Not the news, not the government, not even your favorite YouTubers. But by 2030, life here could look very different, and not in a good way. Wages are stuck, costs are exploding, and personal freedoms slowly being chipped away. Yet the media stays silent. Why? In this video, we're breaking down 10 shocking reasons why thousands are planning their exit, and why you might want to think about it too. From failing systems to hidden policies that could trap you, this isn't fear-mongering, it's fact-checking what they're trying to keep off your radar. Stay to the end, because reason number 10 is something no one's talking about, but could affect you the most. Number 1. Economic decline and stagnant wages. Let's talk money, because that's where the first red flag is waving. Since the 2008 financial crash, the UK has seen almost no real wage growth. In fact, after adjusting for inflation, many people are earning less than they did over a decade ago. You're working harder, for longer hours, and somehow still falling behind. Add to that the skyrocketing cost of living, rent, energy bills, groceries, and it's clear the math doesn't add up anymore. Even professionals with good jobs are struggling to save, invest, or even dream of owning a home. It's not just a rough patch, it's becoming the new normal. According to the Resolution Foundation, real household incomes are projected to be lower in 2025 than they were in 2015. That's a full decade of going backward. And no politician wants to talk about it. Why? Because this isn't just about inflation or interest rates. It's structural. Decades of outsourcing, wage suppression, weak unions, and rising inequality have hollowed out the middle class. You're not imagining it, the UK is getting poorer. Think about this, entire generations now face a future where they'll never own property, never feel financially stable, and may never retire comfortably. The ladder to success? It's broken, missing half the rungs, and no one's fixing it. And here's the real kicker, young people today may never reach the financial security their parents had. That dream? It's fading. People are waking up to this. That's why emigration is no longer just for the wealthy, it's becoming a survival strategy for everyday workers. Countries like Canada, Australia, and even parts of Europe are becoming attractive lifeboats. So, ask yourself, in a country where working hard doesn't get you ahead anymore, what's left to stay for? Number 2. Authoritarian laws and surveillance expansion. Freedom used to be one of the UK's proudest values, but lately, it's starting to feel like a myth. In just a few years, the government has quietly introduced laws that give authorities more control over what you say, what you do, and even where you go. Protesting peacefully? That can now get you arrested. Sharing offensive opinions online? It could soon be considered a criminal act. And while most people scroll past the headlines, something far bigger is happening behind the scenes, the rise of the surveillance state. From facial recognition cameras on every corner to proposals for digital IDs and online monitoring, your data is being tracked, analyzed, and stored like never before. They say it's for safety. But when safety turns into surveillance, freedom quietly disappears. The Online Safety Act, for example, claims to protect users, but critics warn it opens the door to censorship and government control over digital speech. And with the expansion of police powers, the UK is inching closer to what experts call a soft authoritarian state. Ask yourself, if they can decide what's acceptable to say, how long until they decide what's acceptable to think? Many are realizing this isn't the Britain they grew up in, it's a new kind of control, dressed in the language of protection. And once these systems are fully in place by 2030, reversing them will be nearly impossible. So before you scroll away, think about this, if privacy and freedom vanish quietly, will anyone even notice? What do you think, are these laws about protection or control? Drop your opinion in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next shocking reason people are leaving the UK. Number 3. NHS collapse and healthcare crisis. There was a time when the NHS was considered untouchable, Britain's crown jewel. Free, universal, reliable. A system built not on profit, but on principle. But today, that foundation is cracking. Ambulance response times have hit record delays. Cancer patients are waiting months for treatment. GP appointments? You'll be lucky to get one within 3 weeks. And when you do, it's often a rushed 5-minute phone call, not real care. The numbers are cold, but the reality is colder, thousands of avoidable deaths linked to delays. Staff walking out from burnout. Hospitals turning corridors into emergency wards. This isn't just under pressure. This is collapse in slow motion. People aren't just worried, they're scared. Scared that if something serious happens, they'll be left to fend for themselves. And many already are. The rise in private healthcare subscriptions tells its own story. When the public system fails, those who can pay will. And those who can't? They wait. Or worse. It's no longer about minor frustrations. It's about trust. And for millions, that trust is gone. Worse still, the government talks reforms, but delivers cuts, targets, and empty promises. The sense of being looked after, of healthcare as a human right, is fading. It's not melodrama. It's not clickbait. It's quiet desperation. And it's becoming normal. Ask yourself this: in 5 years, if you or someone you love needed urgent care, would you feel confident staying here? Or would you be one of the many who've already left for countries where health isn't a lottery, but a guarantee? Number 4. Housing crisis and rent inflation. Imagine this: you earn a decent wage, work full-time, maybe even have a side hustle. You're responsible, you budget, you don't waste money. And yet, at the end of every month, you're barely scraping by. Now add this: your rent just went up again. Your landlord doesn't need a reason. And if you complain, they can simply not renew your contract. Because that's legal now. This is the story of millions across the UK. Young professionals, key workers, even families, priced out of their own cities, pushed into poor-quality flats with mouldy walls and broken heating. It's not just a London problem anymore. This is national. In 2023, the UK hit its highest rental inflation in over a decade. Some areas saw double-digit increases in just 12 months. Meanwhile, house prices remain so out of reach, the idea of getting on the ladder has become a joke. And yet, there are over 250,000 empty homes across the country. Yes, empty, but instead of being repurposed, they sit as investments, not homes. The system isn't broken, it's rigged. This isn't just economic, it's emotional. It delays families. It crushes independence. It robs people of stability. How can you build a future when your foundation shifts every 12 months? Other countries have rent caps. They have tenant protections. They build homes with purpose. The UK? It debates whether this is even a problem. So people leave. Not because they want to, but because they have to. Because after years of trying to make it work, reality wins. And the reality is simple: if the roof over your head is a source of stress, not security, how long until you decide to walk away? Number 5. Climate risk and infrastructure unpreparedness. When people think of climate change, they imagine distant countries, wildfires in Australia, floods in Bangladesh. But the truth, the UK is far from safe. In fact, it's more vulnerable than most realize. Over 5 million homes are now at risk of flooding in the UK. That's not a future projection, it's a current reality. And each year, those odds grow worse. Our infrastructure wasn't built for this. Drainage systems, power grids, and transport networks are aging fast. A single storm can shut down entire towns. A heat wave? It can buckle railways, overwhelm hospitals, and send thousands to emergency rooms. And yet, where is the national response? The long-term resilience plans? The serious investment in future-proofing? They're either missing or massively underfunded. Meanwhile, water shortages are already becoming seasonal in some regions. Crop yields are declining. Energy insecurity is creeping in. Climate change isn't a distant threat, it's at the door. And the UK is underprepared. Other countries are acting fast, building resilient cities, installing cooling infrastructure, replacing outdated systems. The UK? Still debating whether to open a new coal mine. What's worse is the silence. This isn't on the front pages. It's not part of your daily news cycle. But when the next climate emergency hits, it will be too late to ask, why weren't we ready? For many, that question has already been answered. They're looking elsewhere, to places that plan for the future, not react to the past. Because in 2030, the UK might not just be struggling with politics or prices, but with basic survival in an environment it failed to prepare for. Number 6. Mass emigration of skilled workers. It's a trend that doesn't make headlines, but it should. Across industries, skilled professionals are quietly packing their bags and leaving the UK. Doctors, engineers, academics, IT specialists, even teachers, not in protest, but in search of something better. Since Brexit, the outflow of talent has accelerated. The British Medical Association reported a record number of doctors applying for certification to practice abroad. Thousands of nurses have left the NHS. Universities are losing top researchers to institutions overseas. And tech startups? They're relocating to countries with better support and fewer bureaucratic hurdles. This isn't just about money, it's about morale. Professionals feel undervalued, overstretched, and increasingly disillusioned. The systems they once trusted, education, healthcare, innovation, now feel like obstacles, not opportunities. The consequences are quiet but dangerous. Fewer qualified staff means longer wait times, slower innovation, declining services. The loss isn't just individual, it's national. What's more telling? Many of those leaving aren't high-flying elites, they're mid-level professionals with families. People who wanted to stay, but couldn't see a viable future. Meanwhile, other nations are actively recruiting British talent. Australia, Canada, Germany, offering better pay, more support, and a higher quality of life. It's called a brain drain. But in this case, it's more than just brains, it's experience, passion, and potential leaving every day. By 2030, the UK risks becoming a country where the most capable no longer remain, not out of disloyalty, but survival. And once that brainpower is gone, rebuilding won't be easy. Talent isn't just lost, it's transferred, strengthening other nations while leaving the UK weaker by the year. The question isn't why they're leaving. The question is, why are so many staying silent about it? Number 7. Broken political system and corruption. Let's be honest, how many people do you know who still trust British politics? Exactly. It's no longer left versus right, red versus blue. It's become a rotating door of broken promises, public scandals, and zero accountability. New faces, same failures. Every election feels like choosing between bad and worse. MPs caught breaking their own rules. Crony contracts handed out during crises. Party donors influencing policy. When was the last time you felt represented, not just managed? The system isn't just out of touch, it's designed to be. Two-party dominance blocks fresh ideas. Career politicians play musical chairs in ministerial roles they barely understand. And major decisions on housing, energy, education are made not for people, but for optics. Remember when politics used to feel serious? When leadership meant something? Now it's all about headlines, polling points, and dodging responsibility. Meanwhile, the issues that matter most, cost of living, NHS collapse, public services, get buried under culture wars and cheap distractions. It's a show. And we're footing the bill. And let's not even talk about the House of Lords. An unelected chamber of influence in the 21st century? Still there. Still untouched. Still powerful. People are tired, not just of politicians, but of the game itself. That's why voter turnout is falling. That's why young people are disengaged. That's why so many are asking, what's the point? But here's the real danger: when belief in the system breaks, people look for solutions elsewhere, sometimes in better countries, sometimes in worse ideas. Either way, a political system that no longer earns trust is a system on borrowed time. And the UK? It's running out of credit fast. Number 8. Cultural polarization and social fragmentation. There's a strange silence in the UK today, not peaceful, but tense. Like everyone's waiting for something or trying to avoid saying the wrong thing. Because more and more, it feels like we're not just disagreeing, we're dividing. Social media has turned every topic into a battlefield. Neighbors avoid conversations. Friendships quietly dissolve. Families argue over dinner tables, not because they're different, but because the space between them has grown too wide to cross. It's no longer about ideas. It's about identity. And when everything becomes a symbol, your job, your values, your words, simple conversations turn into landmines. This isn't how it used to be. Trust is fading, not just in institutions, but in each other. People assume the worst. Everyone feels like they're walking on eggshells. And the result? Isolation, exhaustion, a country that no longer feels connected to itself. Mental health services are overwhelmed. Loneliness is rising. Community spaces are disappearing. And despite being more connected than ever, many feel deeply, relentlessly alone. This isn't just sad, it's dangerous. Because when a society forgets how to talk to itself, it becomes easy to manipulate. Easy to control. Easy to break. The UK isn't just facing political and economic decline, it's experiencing a cultural one, too. And if that's not addressed, no policy or budget will fix what's truly broken. You can leave a failing system, but what do you do when the fabric of the nation begins to unravel? That's the question more people are asking. Quietly, privately, but more often than ever. Number 9. Education crisis and declining global ranking. There was a time when British education was the envy of the world. Parents abroad dreamed of sending their children to UK schools. A British degree meant opportunity, respect, security, but that legacy? It's slipping through our fingers. In the last few years, the UK has fallen in global education rankings. Literacy and numeracy levels among school leavers have declined. Teachers are leaving in record numbers. And schools are being asked to do more, with less, every single term. Walk into a state school today and you'll find crumbling buildings, overcrowded classrooms, underpaid staff, and students struggling not just with subjects, but with basic emotional support. SEND services are overwhelmed. Mental health referrals take months. Teachers are burnt out, and kids know it. This isn't a lack of talent, it's a lack of support. And while private schools thrive, public schools fight for funding scraps. It's creating a two-tier system where your postcode determines your future. The most heartbreaking part? It's not just the facilities or funding, it's the loss of belief. Young people are losing faith in a system that doesn't seem to believe in them. They feel unseen, unheard, and unprepared for the world that waits for them after graduation. Meanwhile, other countries are innovating, investing in future skills, digital literacy, critical thinking. The UK? Still debating exam formats from the last century. If education is supposed to be the ladder out of hardship, then that ladder is missing rungs. For too many, it no longer reaches the ground. And if we're not building a future for the next generation, what exactly are we building? Number 10. The normalization of decline. This last reason is the most dangerous, because it doesn't happen overnight. It's not in the headlines. It's not one single law or crisis. It's slower, quieter, and far more effective. It's the normalization of decline. You start accepting longer NHS wait times, shrugging off rising rent, laughing about broken trains, missed appointments, or cancelled services. You tell yourself, that's just how things are now. But deep down, you remember when things worked. And that's the trap. When enough people lower their expectations, the system no longer needs to improve, it just needs to manage your tolerance. You hear phrases like "it could be worse," "at least we're not like the US," or "what can you do?" And slowly, the bar drops. Year by year, crisis by crisis. This slow erosion of standards, of public services, of political integrity, of daily life, becomes the new baseline. And if you were born into it, you may not even realize what's been lost. That's why this is the most alarming trend of all. Because when decline becomes normalized, change becomes unimaginable. People stop asking for more, stop fighting for better, and start adjusting to less. But not everyone accepts that fate. Some choose to leave. Not out of hate for the UK, but out of love for the life they want to build. One with stability, dignity, and opportunity. Before it's too late. The most dangerous thing isn't collapse, it's comfort with collapse. And by 2030, many fear we'll be too numb to notice what we've already given up. So the final question is simple: are you adapting to survival, or choosing a better future? If any of this hit close to home, tell us in the comments, what would push you to leave, or stay? We pour hours into making these videos real, raw, and research-driven, so if you found value here, support us with just one click, subscribe. And don't miss our last video, it dives even deeper into what the media won't say. Your voice, your click, your time, it all helps us keep going. Thank you.